Right then, the rain won, so I am going to do what I need to do to these carbs, just sitting on the office floor on this towel. Much to my wife's disgust, because the house now stinks of petrol. Apparently, I've got no sense of smell, so there you go. So I'm going to start stripping them. I'm not going to strip them all the way down. So what I want to do is, here's the broken one here. I want to see if I've got a body that will match that. Now it's this one with all the big springs and everything on it, so you know. I also want to set all the float levels, but I can do that without stripping them all down. Just have to take the float balls off. And I know they're not right, so let's get them sorted once and for all. And while I'm at it, I can then have a look at the needle valves, because this bike's got a nasty habit of flooding the number one cylinder, and I mean hydro flooding it. And when I was running it yesterday, number one was definitely getting too much fuel, so there was something leaking fuel out, and the number three cylinder was absolutely black, coated, sooted up. Within 10 seconds of running it, it was cutting out. It was getting so sooted up it was cutting out. So either there's a constant flood of oil, which is possible being as I messed up the tappet clearances, or it's bypassing, you know, the float bowl is just not stopping the fuel coming through and it's pumping fuel through into the engine, which is then not burning, or it's not getting the compression it needs because I set the valve tappets wrong. It all revolves around the same ideas, but we're going to take these float bowls off and check the float heights and just get that right, and then clean out the needle valves and make sure everything's good there. So that's the first plan for these. I've got to do, and the second one is, let's see if we can find a replacement body for that. If we can, we'll start stripping them down off this plenum, because once you start undoing all those bells and whistles and springs, and yeah, it gets quite complicated, and I don't want to do it if I don't have to, because the rest of the carbs seem to be working fine. The slides are going up and down nicely. I can hear vacuum in each one of those pots, so the diaphragms aren't bust, so we're all good there. Any problems in that area would cause it to run lean, not mega rich. So I'm onto something, and I'm not desperately worried about this carb because it's been like that the entire time I've had it. Although it was very wet around where the broken piece is yesterday, which, you know, again, could just be fuel leaking into the plenum, filling the plenum up and then dribbling down into whichever cylinder is the easiest for it to reach. We shall see. Okay, first float bowl off. This is the number 3, I think. Hang on, let me just make sure. There's the carb, sits in the bike like that. It's that one there. No, hang on. Let's just check this out. Right, so that's how it sits on the bike. Yes, it is. Which means that's number 1. That's number 3, and that one's actually number 4. Yeah. It all gets confusing when you turn stuff upside down. So this is actually the number 4. So this isn't the one that we had trouble with, but I just noticed, I mean, it's pretty clean inside. Didn't see any problems with the needle valve. Now I know why. But I do see this here, so I'm going to pull that and just have a check. I don't think it's anything to worry about, to be honest, but I want to take that one off because that's the one we had trouble with, so I'll do that now. Right then, that's all the float heights set. So I didn't find anything too nasty inside here, which is good. I've still got to deal with obviously this broken carb. I've set the float heights, just get one of those cheap things and look it up in the manual and measure the height from the top of one of them to the side, and get your float height set, and that way we shouldn't keep throwing petrol into the cylinders. They were out. 2 of them were good, 1 of them was way too high, 1 of them was way too low. So they're now set as they should be. So I'm going to put them back together, and I'm going to go and look to see if I can find one of these carb bodies amongst the 2 I've got. I think I'm pretty certain I've checked the first set I had, but I've got another set now. They're off a VF700, so I'll look, I'll check, but if not, we'll reuse these. Right then, continuing this little saga. So after I'd finished setting all those float balls heights at 8mm, I then went back and set them at 8.5 like they should have been. So yet another mistake. Now, the reason I'm standing this on its end, I'm hoping you can see this. If you look where my finger is there, you should be able to see V and D. Okay, casting numbers. Now I've been through a lot of these carbs and I've looked online for a long time trying to find VD casting numbers. Never been able to find any. They're all different casting numbers, which invariably means that stuff doesn't line up. Now I want to replace that one there for that reason. Okay, that's broke out, that's just wrong, so we need to get that sorted. But to do that, all I actually need is the body of one of them carbs, and then put all these bits in it, because these all work. I'll probably leave, and you know, whatever's in the 2 throttle and choke bodies, I'll leave them alone. I'm not going to take them apart, but we'll see. But then I've got to find them. So anyway, I went digging in my shed, because Emil down at A14 Salvage, while I was there one day, threw this pile of junk at me and said, 20 quid? And I went, yeah, right. And I just threw it in the shed in a box, thinking maybe one day I'll get round to cleaning them. But basically all the, you know, the connecting pipes that connect them together, fuel pipes, they're snapped off, so you know, you need them. There's no plenum, there's a lot missing. They, you know, they don't look like that. But then I looked at them a bit more closely and went, actually they do. So I got a little scrubbing brush out, and on the carb that we care about, which is this one, I just cleaned that corner. I don't know if you can read that. Let me just turn around a little bit. But anyway, just saw it then for a second. Come on, focus. Now I don't think there's enough light, but yeah, basically VD. So that is the carb body that I've been looking for to replace that one. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to I've checked, and all the pipes and hoses and everything comes out in the right place. All these attachments are identical to that one. I'll give it another once over, because I've been fooled once before. There's some odd stuff on here that I don't recognise, but doesn't mean it's wrong. Just got to find it over there, and some of it can just be shades of rust. So I'll do a damn good comparison before I do anything else, but I'm pretty sure, I mean, it's the same body cast and it's the same carb. All these bits and bobs seem to line up. So, and I've got to take these carbs off this plenum for one good reason. There's a fuel transfer pipe, I'm not sure that's it, I think that's an overflow. But there's a fuel transfer pipe where one of these tees in. Could be that one there, and the o-rings on it are leaking. So anyway, while I've got it out, and if I've got to do one of them, there's 2 of these tees, one's here and one's in between those 2 carbs, and then there's a T-piece that feeds those 2, but one of them was leaking, can't remember which, so I'll just do them both. And anyway, I've got to take that one out now because I'm swapping this carb body, so I'm going to do that one regardless, and if I'm doing that one, I'll do that one at the same time, so it makes no difference. So let's strip that one down first, because just all I care about is the body in it, just making sure that it matches. So I'll come back when I've got that disconnected from them. Right, so that's pretty cool. I've checked it and it is absolutely, this is the car body that we're interested in. It's to replace that one with a broken bit. So the good news is inside it's beautiful, just really dirty on the outside. So this is going, I'm just going to strip it down some more, because I'm going to take the insides out of that one, put it in this one, and then just put that lot back together and it'll work. Yeah, that's the plan. So I'm going to strip this one down and get it to look like that one. I might even use the capper for this one, because oh, look at this, still supple, good spares, a little bit of dirt on the outside of them, but apart from that, still supple, nice and clean. Inside of that, awesome. Outside of that, arguably better than that one. So already 20 quid's worth right there. Right, so I'm going to strip this down some more and I'll come back after I've cleaned it. Okay, progress. We've got pulled this carb out. This is the where's the brake? There it is. This is the broken one, and I've reassembled the plenum with this one in, which means an awful lot of messing around with these things. It's just what looks like a bent piece of wire, but I think it was once actually a split pin. You need to pull that out, take a washer off. There's a washer underneath to get these off. These are basically the same piece of bent wire through washers and stuff, so just count them in, count them out. I've got to bench set them now, which is a pain, but I do it just by shining a light through from the other end and then just checking how much light's coming under each one of them. It's just how I do it. It's close enough, gets them up and running. Now this is the same body as these, which is what I needed to be able to assemble it, all the holes in the right places for hoses and stuff, but it's not the same part number. Let me just see if I can do this without just confusing matters. So I showed you before the, where is it, FD, I can see it, I just can't get the camera on it, hang on, where my finger is, oh it's up there. So that's where the FD is, and that's the body type of the carb, but that's not the part number. There's a lot more involved in that, and these ones are 62A. Okay, this one, there it is a 60B. Now I'll be honest, I've got absolutely no idea, but what I do know is this came off a Magna. Now what type of Magna, I'm not entirely sure. I didn't see it come off the bike, but it is off a Magna, could be off a 700. It's got these fixed type needle jets, so that's basically the float. Where is it? So this goes up and down inside that, and sitting on the end of here is the needle, and that needle ends up inside this tube. The ones on the other ones, as you saw earlier, were removable. You could actually put, they had a screwdriver slot in the top of them, you could take them out. This one isn't. So that's the first difference, the only difference I've noticed. Now how significant that is, not quite sure yet. May need to use the needle and the float, needle and the piston, that came out of this actual carb, which is fine because as you can see it's all soft and supple, so it will work. But therein comes another difference. This is plastic and the ones in here are steel. Let me show you on this one. Well, no, they're not steel actually. Oh, here they are. Here they are. They're different. Let's just put it that way. Let's. I put that there, and then hold that up against it. You can see they're different. Now, does that mean these are heavier? Will these work differently? I don't know. So what I'm going to do, just checking my handiwork in here. These are very easy to get wrong. And I might have done that just here. Yep. See that? That's pulled through from the other side. So I've got to loosen that off, shove that back through, and then tighten it up, otherwise there'll just be a dirty air leak there. Same thing happening there, look. So that's no good. Messed that up. Which is a shame, I've just tightened all those, so I've got to loosen them all again now and sort that out. So we'll just keep playing with that, and then we'll get the rest of the carb together. Okay. Right then, all back together. This is the one we've been working on. Just get me finger inside there. That's working nicely. And it's all in place, so that's it. Next job is I'm going to go put the fuel hose back on it, connect it up. I'm not going to put them back on the bike yet. I'm just going to stand them at the side of the bike, get some fuel in them, and get the fuel pump pumping fuel into there. I want to see the float valves work and it not fill the plenum full of fuel. So that's next job, but they're ready to go back on the bike now. So that's today's job over and done with. Thanks for watching.